What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Recap with Mo, man. We getting ready to break down this whole Tyler Perry's Zatima Season 2, Episode number 10, titled The Good with the Bad. But before we get into this breakdown, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel where we break down everything black. And that's that, man. So let's go ahead and get into this synopsis. So the synopsis for this episode states that Zach and Fatima's relationship is challenged by his childhood trauma when Gladys shows up while under the influence, and Zach's first meeting with Fatima's parents takes a disastrous turn. So now that we've said that, let's go ahead and get into this breakdown. Alright, y'all, so this episode starts off exactly where we left off previously with Fatima and Zach at the crib with Miss Gladys, who was just dropped off by Zach's brother, who, just pretty much jettisoned and left him to take care of her. So she's obviously had an incident at the house, and they're trying to, keep her awake pretty much, and Fatima is like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get dressed. And Zach is like, no, I really don't need your assistance. I got it. He's emotional. And, it was pretty hard to watch, man, because, for me, I lost my mom a couple of years back, man. So even if your mom isn't there, just a piece of your mom, it's hard to see her just going through what she's going through. So understanding this situation in the context that, Miss Gladys hasn't been the best mom to Zach, but still at the end of the day, she's his mom. And, it is what it is. So he's going to try to take care of her to the best of his ability. So his brother, who's the asshole, just went ahead and left. Now, I understand you can be tired, but you just can't do crap like that. I just don't understand it. It is what it is. But Fatima states that she's going to go upstairs and go ahead and get dressed. So after that, we end up at the hospital. And we can tell that Zach is going through some stuff. He doesn't even want Fatima to even touch him. So he's dealing with some deep-seated, emotions right now, some trauma that is obviously from his past. He really doesn't know how to deal with them. And those are sometimes some of the toughest things to go through as a child. You don't really know how to, express those emotions that you're going through at that time. And then as time just progresses, things become worse. They just grow and build upon one another. Now, let me go ahead and say this. I'm nowhere near a daggone therapist, all right? That was not my degree or concentration. I went into IT. So, I'm going to go ahead and end it on that note. But you can obviously tell that Zach had an issue here, and he's really grieving, but he really doesn't know how to say what he's going through, what he's feeling. And the only thing he knows how to do right now is hurt people's feelings, because that's all he learned how to do. So from there, we see Fatima. She goes and she gets on the phone call with Dr. Reed, and she pretty much conveys to Dr. Reed that, Zach, this whole situation with Zach. And after hearing all of this information, Dr. Reed conveys to Fatima that Zach is embarrassed by this whole situation with his mom. So with that, he stated that he would come up there if she would allow him to talk to Zach. And she was like, would you? He was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind. So he decides to come up there. So next we see Angela and Bryce, and they're at her house. She allowed him to stay the night because that nigga was too drunk to go home. And while he's there, he's still trying to, pretty much woo his way into Angela's heart, and her, good standings, or her good graces rather in this situation, because he's messed up. He knows that he's messed up, and he was so very apologetic about everything that went down the previous night. But at the end of the day, Angela has made up her mind, and she says, no, we can be good friends, but pretty much there's no me and you, there's no relationship at this time. But it is what it is for this whole situation. And while he's still trying to talk to her, Fatima gives her a phone call, and she was like, oh, well, this is Fatima. I guess we're done with this conversation, pretty much giving her a way out of this whole conversation, because at this point it's uncomfortable. And let's be real, don't nobody want to hear that their significant other is, doing some questionable things that they were not aware of at the beginning of this, of the relationship. So now we head back over to the hospital where we see Zach is waiting in the waiting room, and a doctor finally comes out and pretty much conveys to him, hey, we got her pretty good. She's pretty, she was dinged up a little bit, but she's good to go. We're going to keep watch on her for another few hours or so, and we'll let you know when she's ready to go home. So Zach was like, okay. But now the doctor did convey to him, I did notice the marks on her arm. So, here's a card to, someone that could possibly assist her to, getting past this situation in her life. And Zach was like, okay. So Zach sits back down in his chair, and as soon as the doctor leaves and he sits down, starts to read the card, guess who walks in? Dr. Reed. And I was like, dang, okay, how is this going to go? But, for me, it went pretty well. So let's go ahead and go into it. So Dr. Reed comes in. Of course, Zach is a little thrown off because he's like, oh, here goes this right here. But he didn't really want to get into no counseling session. So, he sat there and he just talked to old boy like, okay, what's good? You're here now. Go ahead and say what's on your chest, and let's go ahead and get past this shit so we can move on. So Dr. Reed did pretty good initially. He started off with the question, what was it? How many times have things gone great in your life and then it all just went to hell? And Zach looked at him, and then he looked away and he said, man, it's been like that my whole life. And you could hear the pain coming out of Zach. And Zach pretty much said that this whole situation started when he was about 7 years old. And Dr. Reed was like, well, what was so significant about that time? And he stated that that's when his mom first started using. So I was like, damn, like for a child, that can be a hard thing because as I stated before in the previous episode, it's hard for young kids to really get their emotions out because they don't really know how to deal with it. Just as we grow older, if we haven't dealt with those things in our past, they're going to resurface once again at some point in time in our lives. And for Zach, it's just resurfacing right now, and it's killing his relationships, is killing his business, it's killing everything within his life right now because of things that have transpired in his past. But anyway, I thought that was a pivotal point for this episode, dealing with Zach, seeing the backdrop of, his relationship with his mom and how he's become the man that he is today. So anyway, from that point on, we see Dr. Reed is just talking to him, but he messes up. Dr. Reed F's up. Dr. Reed talks about how, the whole situation that went down with Paul in the elevator and shit like that it wasn't your fault. You were mad at it. All of this had to do with Fatima, your love for Fatima and all of that stuff like that. And at first, Zach was like, okay, I'm in it. And then you could tell by his disposition at that point, he was like, hold on, where'd you hear that from? And he was like, oh, they told me. And I was like, damn. All right. So I was like, okay. So from that point, he has to really convey to Zach, now, who is this they? And he was like, Fatima and Paul. So he was like, hold on. Zach is like calculating all of this in his mind at this point. Like, this guy, Paul, who I have an issue with, that wants my girl, is now telling you about what transpired in the elevator. And now you're telling me what's going on with me. No, y'all niggas in cahoots right now. What y'all really trying to do is make it seem like something is wrong with me, and what he's really trying to do is get at my girl Fatima. That's really what's going down. Man, get the F up out of here. And Dr. Reed handled himself pretty well, I would have to admit right here. But at the same time, he was still trying to get to Zach. And Zach was like, bro, you do not know me. I'm from the hood. I spent 3 years in jail, in prison. And at this point, you don't know me. You don't know the type of nigga I am. And that's pretty much what he was trying to get I almost said Brother Reed, Dr. Reed to understand. And at this point, Zach he ain't trying to hear the shit. He ain't trying to hear it. You messed up, bro. And I don't know if that was intentional. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at the body language here. I'm not sure exactly what Dr. Reed was trying to do, but it just seemed, I don't know his intentions at that point. So maybe we'll see that later on. Something else, I don't know if it was just me. Did you notice at some point it was almost like Zach was at one time he was a man and then he went into this childish type of behavior? Because if you notice when Dr. Reed leaves, he starts to make these statements like, go on and leave. I don't need nobody. I don't need none of y'all. And that reminds me of my son. Like when he gets upset, when he gets pissed off about something, you know, he would throw his hands away and he's like, I'm done, I'm good. Like he's not able to communicate effectively. And he just gets upset where he throws these fits. And that's what I saw Zach doing. Like I said before, I'm not a therapist, but I believe that was just something that I noticed in all of this. But anyhow, let's move on. So his friends, you know, Nate and Tony, they show up and Zach is this whole different person. He's putting on a whole different front at this time. Like, what's good, fellas? What's good? And they're like, oh, we coming down to check on you. And Zach is like, y'all know Zach, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But Tony is like, no, he's looking from another angle. He was like, no, he's not good. But on the flip side of it, Nate is more so like Zach. He's not really thinking on that level of maturity. He's more so, I'm good with whatever, you know, whatever's going on in my life right now. It is what it is, and I'm gonna deal with it when it comes, not thinking, you know, progressively about what or objectively what's to come down the pipeline. But Tony, on the other hand, is the more mature friend that's always looking out for Zach as well, but to the point where what's best for Zach. You hear what I'm saying? So in this whole situation, in this context, they're pretty much trying to comfort Zach in his time of need. But you can tell that Zach's not all there. He's concerned, but he's still putting it on his front when Connie shows up. Now, Connie, you know, I've seen her in the previous episodes, and she has been an issue for Zach since day one. You know, they always get down with the get down. If you know what I'm talking about, it is what it is. And Nate is there like, this is what it needs to be. But Tony on the other side knows that, you know, yeah, he got this Joan over here, you know, who is known as Fatima. But Zach really cares about Fatima. Connie probably is not the best thing for him, and Nate knows that. Not Nate, I'm sorry. Tony knows that. So, but when Connie shows up, you know, it seems like Zach knocks that wall down. She's able to get to him at a place where nobody else can. So when she gets there, she's trying to make light of the situation as well. Zach throws that guard away, and he starts to look and listen to Connie, even though his fellas are there. So she pretty much dismisses the guys, and she was like, no, y'all need to go. I'm here with my man. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, you sure you need us to go? And Nate on the other side is like, yeah, we need to go. Because what he wants right now is Zach to be in the same predicament he's in with his woman, right? He loves his woman, but he ain't with his woman, if you understand what I'm saying. And who doesn't want company while you're going through misery, right? You don't want to be all alone. And Tony, on the other hand, are you sure you want us to leave? And Zach is like, yo, bro, y'all, I'm good. So from that point, he lays his head on Connie's shoulder, and I was like, hell, like, what is this man doing? Like, this is not the best time to do this. And as soon as as soon as I just think that in my mind, here comes Fatima. Now, she done went home, she done changed clothes, and I was like, damn. And she's coming in, and she got that look on her face like, who is this right here with my man? And I'm like, shh. So Connie starts this whole situation like, who is this? After Fatima says, like, who is this right here, Zach? Instead of allowing Zach to say what he needs to say, Connie is like, who is old girl? Like, attacking Fatima. Now, she already knew what she was doing when she made that comment towards Fatima. She knows exactly who Fatima is. Fatima ain't up there for no daggone reason, right? So Connie tries to tell Fatima that, oh, me and Zach, we go way back. I'm one of his girls from back in the day, one of his good friends. But Fatima ain't trying to hear that. She already knows good and damn well who Connie is and what type of girl Connie is, if you understand what I'm saying. So while she's standing there, Fatima is pretty much like, okay, this is what it is. You didn't want me up here, but you got Connie up here. And Connie's like, yeah, we good, boo. Like, something like that. Some crazy like that. So after Fatima leaves, because she's pissed off, she said, we're good. I'm done. I'm getting ready to head over to my parents' house, all right? So after that, Zach sits back down, and old girl Connie is like, bye. Fatima, no, she didn't even call her real name. She called her something more disrespectful. Like, she knows the woman's name. Let's not be disrespectful. So while they're sitting there, the doctor comes back out with this look on her face like, why y'all still here? Like, y'all came back? And Zach is like, hold on, what you talking about? And she was like, well, your mom was discharged about 2 hours ago. She signed herself out and said she would let you guys know. But obviously she never came back out unless there was another exit. Obviously Zach or his friends or nobody had ever seen Miss Gladys come up out of there. So of course he was like, this is just what she does. Quick thing, y'all. Let me go back real quick, and I'm sorry that I didn't do this earlier. I was thinking about it as I was watching this doctor as well as Connie's face on this image here. It made me think about Miss Gladys. Do you guys recall when Connie stated that when the guys were there that she tried to call Zach from Miss Gladys's phone? So I was like, hold on. What do y'all be doing in the meantime? And we'll probably get back to this later on in this episode. But it really made me think about possibly what has Connie been doing with Miss Gladys, right? So anyway, let's keep on moving, man. So from there, we headed over to Fatima's parents' house. So she comes in, and the parents are like, her stepdad and her mom are like, so is he coming or not? And Fatima's like, shit, I don't know. I'm here. Can we just go ahead and eat? And Fatima's mom was like, now her mom is getting on my nerves, guys. I don't know. I just don't deal well with women who put themselves in, I don't even know how to even say this right here, but her mom is just looking at this image right here. Her mom just looks evil, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but it just looks like she's trying to control everything that's going on with Fatima right now. And I know that man right there is not happy. He looks like he's happy, but I know he's not happy in that relationship. But anyhow, let's move on. That's a whole situation for another day. So there's a knock on the door, and it happens to be Zach. So Zach walks in, and he sits down, and he says hello to the stepfather. He introduces himself, and her mom, once again, y'all, I'm trying to tell you about this mom here. She was like, and you remember me, young man? Like, hell to the yeah, he remembers you. You were the one that was at his crib unannounced, came into his house, and I mean, you were the one that was so disrespectful to him. So, yes, he remembers you. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, the stepdad, who I believe has been the most rational in all of this, is just simply, just talking to Zach. How you doing, young man? But of course, he's on the BS as well. This is not the time to go into a whole investigative mode, detective type of situation with your daughter's boyfriend or fiance, rather. Like, this is your very first time meeting this guy, and now you want to, instead of just introducing yourself, as I stated in the previous episode, and just simply just introducing yourself, sitting down, having a candid conversation, no, we're going to go ahead and interrogate you right here on the spot. So Zach is already in the mood right now because he's already pissed off. So now he's just going to sit down and he's going to take it. Now, I do agree with Fatima to a certain degree. Like, Zach, probably went a little bit too far in his antics, the way he was responding, because I would not have given them the ammunition. You know what I'm saying? I would have just said, okay, what's good? What y'all want to know? I would have told you straightforward what's going on with me, how it got there. So Zach does tell them, what's going on. Yes, I spent time. I went to prison for robbery or something like that. And he's paid his dues. Fatima's like, okay, this is already going too far. And her mom was like, what, Fatima? You don't want us to know what's going on with your fiance? And in my head, I'm like, dang, do you think that your daughter Fatima doesn't already know what's going on with her fiance? Like, Fatima don't have enough knowledge herself to go and ask her fiance about his past and shit that he's done, before she's met him. Like, you guys are treating her like a child. And I know as a parent that you're constantly looking out for your child, but you got to allow your child to grow and ask questions for themselves and make decisions for themselves. But this right here, this whole body language, like you're better than me, that whole notion that you're better than me, you're thinking that I'm no good because of my life in the past. People grow, people change, and that's what I'm saying here. That these two, I'm trying to fix my language, y'all, so bear with me. But these folks here, they are so disrespectful to Zach. I could see why he was responding the way he did, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But anyway, he says, I'm gonna get up out of here. And of course, Fatima's like, Zach, don't go out and do nothing crazy. But Zach is like, at this point, I'm being grilled by your family. I don't even know them, but they're coming to me like a criminal. They're treating me like a criminal. And at this point, I might as well stay in that criminal mindset. So Zach is getting ready to leave, and Fatima's like, please, Zach, don't go do nothing stupid. And he said, the only dumb thing that I've done is to believe that someone like you would love somebody like me. And I was like, damn, man. I was like, I wish he didn't feel like this, but it's a true feeling. Definitely when people are coming at you at all angles and looking at this mom's face right now, like, it says everything. Like, you're not good enough for my daughter. Give people an opportunity. Give people a chance to prove to you that they are. Zach may be the very best thing for Fatima. But unfortunately, her mom is just at this state. She's dealing with her past from Fatima's mama. Like, she keeps talking about Fatima's mama, what he did, what he did not do, and don't waste your time and all of that shit like that. So after Zach leaves, Fatima gets up and leaves because she's not pleased about how nothing went down in that house. She's not pleased at all. And she tells her parents like it wasn't the right time for it, and I absolutely agree. And her stepfather comes over and he simply asked her, do you love him? And she was like, I do. So of course he looked at it like, okay, but her mom is pissed off because she doesn't want her to quote unquote make the same type of mistakes that she made with, her father, like she did back in the day. But anyhow, going from there, we head back over to where the fellas are, and you see Tony and Nate, and for some reason Connie in the middle playing cards or some shit on a chair. I don't know where they live, man. But anyhow, so now Zach shows back up and he's, dapping everyone. So he hollers out at old girl Connie, like, hey, let's go upstairs. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, what the hell fuck? But anyway, she was like, no, we good right here. He was like, no, let's go upstairs. And she was like, for real? So the next thing you know, Tony and Nate are sitting there. And of course, Nate is excited as hell about this whole situation. Of course, Tony, like I stated before, is thinking out of concern right now for Zach. So then we head back to the crib where Fatima's walking around. Of course, he's talking on the phone right now. And, she's feeling some type of way about how this whole situation went down, because she's also concerned about how Zach must have felt being bombarded with all these questions coming from her mom specifically, and pretty much dogging him out like he's a trash ass nigga. That's pretty much what it was. So now while Fatima's on the phone, there's a knock on the door, and it happens to be Miss Gladys who shows up. And Miss Gladys comes in and she's talking to Fatima like, hey, where's Zach? And she was like, well, I thought he was over there to see you. I thought he was with you. And Miss Gladys said, no, he ain't with me. I came over here to see him because I need some money. And Fatima was like, I ain't got no money for you. She was like, I bet you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like still talking down to Fatima. And at this point, Miss Gladys pretty much shares with Fatima that I know where Zach is because I seen Zach myself. And I was like, oh, hell no. I said, please don't do it, Miss Gladys. Please don't do it. So now when Fatima's like, well, where was he? She was like, he was effing Connie. I was like, what? I know my brother wasn't. So now Zach shows up. And Fatima got this look on her face like, I bet this nigga didn't. I guarantee you that's what she's thinking right now. But of course, Zach ain't here for her. He's trying to dissolve this whole situation. So Fatima pretty much asked him the question, did you or did you not? So of course, instead of answering the question like a mature adult would, Zach or Zachary, instead of doing that, he looks at her like, it is what it is, or what do you want from me? I guess that's what he's looking at. I don't know. Maybe you can zoom in and look at his face and tell something different. So once again, she reiterates the question, did you F Connie? And then he still does not respond. Y'all, I don't get it. So she says, we're done. Like, how can you allow this fine ass woman to get up out the house? I don't understand, Zach. Look, she's been here not from the beginning, but she's been through hell and high water for you, bro. Like, come on, man. Just wise up and just speak. Say what you need to say. Get it off your chest. But if you did sleep with her, go ahead and be honest. But if you did sleep with her as well, I probably would be hesitant to tell her what really went down. But anyway, that's how the episode ends. She pretty much walks out from there. And of course, Zach turns around and he watches her walk away, which I would have as well. But anyhow, man, that's pretty much how the episode ended. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. I hope that you enjoyed this content. My apologies for getting it out late. Of course, me and my wife, we had to celebrate our 15-year anniversary. I don't want to end up like Zachary and, Fatima. So we're going to make it do what it do over here at the house, man. So with that being said, man, I'm getting ready to sign up out of here. Until next time, see y'all soon. Peace.